Right, so what I'm going to do today is go through the exact process that we use to help women both in post menopause, help with weight loss, fat loss, and fitness. Now, in the last video, I spoke about our process. However, today I'm going to show you how to actually do this. I'm going to go through the exact rationale, the exact kind of tactics that you can kind of take from today. So get your pen and paper ready, make some notes. And if you ever had any questions, as ever, just kind of make sure you reach out through either Instagram or just send me an email. So the way that we do it, if you saw the last, so I'm going to go through these tactics anyway. So this just kind of goes through what we spoke about briefly in the last video, but I'm going to pick apart each single one so you know exactly what to do next. So the reason why a lot of people come and see us and they struggle is they have this kind of gap, really. I know it's a little bit of kind of spiel, really, but what we're just trying to do is see where you are now compared to where you need to be, and we need to close that gap. We provide some sort of, or we create a gap analysis, we plug in those holes, we really kind of give you this kind of exact strategy that you need to do moving forward. And the way that we do that is we start at looking at everything from where you are now. So there's about 10 different things, really. So well, I'll go through in a moment, but things like body composition, metabolic rate, training history, diet history, habits. And then once we've got those markers, we can say, right, this is where you are now. This is where you need to be. What are the things that we can kind of work on first, which are going to move the needle in the best way? So the way that we do that is that we start with an RMR test. Now, I understand that not everyone's going to be able to do this. However, what this does is it just gives you this starting point. And the way that an RMR test works is that you come in, it's nothing strange. You can get this in any kind of university lab. So if you're not in Birmingham, you could have this done elsewhere. It's a 10 to 15 minute test. You breathe into a metabolic cart and we measure how much oxygen you're breathing in and how much carbon dioxide you're breathing out. And once we know that difference, we can see how much oxygen you're using. And because calories are essentially kind of us using kind of oxygen really to convert carbs, fat into energy, we can then see how many calories you're burning. So rather than just using a basic calculation, which is literally a stab in the dark, we can measure it. And then once we've got this starting point, we know exactly how much that you need to eat to lose weight, to control your weight, to maintain your weight, or to build muscle as well. So this just gives a really good advantage of kind of moving forward. Now, do you have to do this? You don't have to do it, but it definitely helps. Now, what we also have is we do have our dashboard. Now, we can use calculations, which are some more accurate than others. So we have this as part of our kind of dashboard, but if you can, and you can still use this, and we still use it if you can't come for testing. It just means that you're probably going to have to do a bit of trial and error, whereas an RMR test just alleviates that or stops that happening. So that's kind of our starting point. That really is underpin how much you need to eat. Now, as I spoke about in the previous video, the issue is that many kind of women, when we start getting a little bit older, we start seeing a drop in that. So a lot of calculators don't always account for this, and they can be quite accurate. Likewise as well, things like cycling, your cycle as well, your menstrual cycle, that can also impact your RMR. So if you're going to have an RMR test with us, make sure you kind of speak with us if you're coming into your period, because that can bring things back up a little bit. So we also do an in-body scan. Now, this is all part of the testing starting points. That's kind of the first, I guess, pillar. And an in-body is just it's still bioelectric impedance. It's just kind of a good way of measuring fat mass, visceral fat, so fat around the organs, and also muscle mass. Now, the reason these are really important is because these are kind of critical when we're going to work out protein targets, carbohydrate targets, and it also gives us an understanding of where you are now and what we need to improve. So if you've got high visceral fat, we know, right, what are the strategies which can improve that. So we know, for example, that we need that combination of cardio and resistance exercise. If you've got low muscle mass, it's going to be, right, we pull back on cardio, we do more resistance exercise. So again, even if you can't come and do an in-body with us, go and find your own Seca, DEXA, in-body, and give us that starting point, and that's going to help us understand what we need to work on. What we also try and look at as well is some blood markers. Now, we appreciate not everyone has these, but sometimes it's worth a trip to the doctor just to making sure things like vitamin D is right, HbA1c, so kind of blood sugar levels, FSH, again, if you're kind of going into kind of menopause, and also things like B12 are all okay. If they're not, you can supplement. If they're not, we can start looking at nutrition interventions as well, or it could be that you've got to go to your doctor and start thinking about HRT if you're considering that as well. So it's good to have. It just ticks some boxes so we know what to do moving forward. So once you've got that kind of initial testing phase or testing, we then need to classify you. And what this means is we don't just put you in buckets. It's more of a case of, right, are you pre-peri or postmenopausal? Because this impacts your exercise. This impacts your nutrition as well. If you're postmenopause, you're going to need more resistance training. You're going to need more protein compared to when you were younger, which is frustrating, but that's the way it is. If you're kind of peri and you're pre, we might not actually need quite as much. But the point is we can kind of showcase where you are and we can pop together training accordingly. Same for exercise history as well. We need to know kind of what you've done in the past, what you can and can't do. And by understanding this, we can then start thinking, right, what is the best kind of exercise strategy for you? Do we need to do body weight and banded workouts? Are we good enough to start going to the gym using resistance machines? Are you quite, have you done a lot in the past where we can use a lot more free weights as well? The point is it doesn't really matter too much the type of exercise you do. The point is you've got to be pushing yourself hard. And I'll go through the prescription in a moment. And then finally as well, we do look at lifestyle habits as well. So it's things like water, steps, sleep, protein as well. And this just shows which of the areas we need to work on next. Okay, so we do like a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for, but a diagnostic really to see where you are now. Again, kind of things like how many steps you're doing, where we need to work on. So that just gives us this full picture. So really start thinking about this yourself. You can get access to the dashboard if you want this as well. So you don't have to come in, but we'll take a screenshot of that and just think, what do you need to work on next? And then it's about actually kind of putting together your plan. And what we do here is that with the nutrition, the key things really is we start off with calories and protein. Protein for obvious reasons to keep muscle mass, to keep you full. Calories is going to help with kind of like fat loss as well. Then after that, we can start thinking about more in detail of fiber targets. We can look at fruit and veg, variety, gut health as well. Are we getting kind of enough pre and probiotics in the diet? But the numbers, they come from the testing and the classification. So it's not just guesswork as well. In terms of kind of training prescription, what we try and do is that we base this again on where you need to work, what you need to improve. So high visceral fat, what we'll do here is we'll combine either steps and HIIT if you're premenopausal, or we'll do kind of more low intensity cardio if you're postmenopausal and resistance training. Like I said before, if you've got low muscle mass, that's where we're going to focus on resistance training. So again, this is going to depend on you as an individual. In terms of the actual exercises we like to do, we follow something called a push, pull, squat and hip hinge. So the kind of the key lifts really. And then when we do that, that just ensures that we're focusing on all the muscle groups. We can hit them kind of at least 8 sets per week as well, because that's going to help you build muscle. And then by doing that, you're going to get those results. And the way that we do it is that we implement it into like a Trainerize app. So again, you can follow along, you can watch the video, you know exactly what you're doing. And it just takes the guesswork really. And by following that, you know that you're going to get results. More on that another time though. So training prescription, then it's a case of looking, reviewing. And when we talk about reviewing, this is the way that we like to do it is we have a scorecard. So again, in our dashboard, what we'll have like a check-in. We have a scorecard on our 6 pillars. We kind of, each 2 weeks, you're going to say, write down like how are you feeling in terms of say your nutrition, how are you getting on with your exercise? And then we can see exactly, right, you're crap at your exercise this week. This is what we're going to work on the next 2 weeks. And it just makes it very logical. It makes it very kind of systematic. And as you're probably aware, that I like systems, I like data. And don't get me wrong, we know that the human touch is really important. But once you've got hard data to work with, we can get results. So we do that. We like to do an in-body scan every 4 to 6 weeks as well, because this just shows if your plan is working. If you know that your muscle mass is going up, your fat mass is coming down, then keep bloody working on what you're doing. If we start seeing there's not much change, or you're losing muscle mass and you're losing weight, we know that we probably need to improve your protein or increase your resistance training. And this is the reason why also we don't like just weight, because if you just use weight, we don't know what else is happening. We don't know if you're losing visceral fat. We don't know if you're losing muscle mass, and it just doesn't give us a big enough picture of what we need to change. So if you are going to do, when you do review your plan, make sure it's a proper body composition test and not just weight. We also like to review RMR testing only if you've got a lot of weight to lose or progress stalls. So normally every kind of 3 to 6 months, we'll get this done again. A huge drop in weight will often lead to a big drop in calories, and RMR, just because mass requires calories. The other thing as well, if we go too aggressive with the dieting, we appreciate that some people like a bit of an aggressive phase, is that we can't do this forever. And sometimes by just redoing the RMR, we can get you a new baseline, we can get a new maintenance set of calories. And it's just going to help with your progress. And then it's a case of implementation. And with that, we use these kind of 6 habits or 6 pillars. It's nutrition, movement, training, consistency, flexibility, mindset, and recovery. So with nutrition, I think we briefly spoke about that. Are you compliant with your protein? Are you staying within the calories? You don't have to track your food, but we need some idea about how much you're eating. So it can be using by eye. We can do it by, say, subjective measures like fullness, and the various different ways we can do it. But the point is you need to have some idea about how much and what you're eating. Movement, what we try and look at here is going to be step in general, because one of the issues we see that when we start dieting, steps naturally come down because you don't want to fidget as much because you might be a bit hungry. And that's the reason why if we can actually count your steps, we can make sure that you're not going to see that drop off. Training, again, we spoke about this already, but are you doing your resistance training? It doesn't have to be 5 days a week, but are you doing it twice? Are you doing enough sets? Are you kind of ticking them off? Again, with consistency, we speak about that in the dashboard as well. So with our pillars. So with things like consistency, it's not about being perfect. It's about trying to be fairly good or fairly consistent all the time rather than super consistent some of the time, because that always beats, what's the phrase? Imperfectly, I can't remember, but basically 80% of the time if you're good, you'll see better results than if you're good 100% of the time, not all the time. Okay, flexibility. Again, we do encourage some sort of flexibility in our plans. It's not about being 100% perfect all the time. People who follow these type of approach don't see results, or they do. The common thing we see is that people say they get really good results when they can stick to it. But if you can't stick to it all the time, it's not very good. So we need to find a plan that gives you that enough flexibility to still see results, but at the same time, you can stick to it long term. And then lastly as well, mindset. Now this is a bit of a tough one. I know some people might think it's a little bit airy-fairy, but these subjective markers do count. And that's the reason why if you are going to do any, say, work with us, especially kind of the one-to-one, we have kind of a coach within the app as well to talk to you daily, to give you that accountability, to make sure that we can help you stay on track. And recovery as well, things like sleep. If you're finding that you're getting achy, you're getting DOMS, are you thinking about these things as well? So there's a lot to go through here, but I think hopefully that's giving you a bit of an idea about how you can kind of start thinking about building a plan. And if you wanted, say, a little bit more support with this, what we're offering as well is we do kind of the Metabolic Collective, and really what that is that you'll get monthly programming, like here on Trainer Eyes. And where am I? What you also get as well is you get a meal builder, which I can show you in a second, the 6-pillar framework, which I just showed you as well. And even better, if you wanted to do like the RMR testing as well, you can kind of add that in. And that's just going to make sure your numbers are really right for you. And the thing is, so Jana's a perfect example. She's lost like 20 odd kilos. And it's nothing kind of crazy with what we've done. Let's just see her body weight actually. Yes, this is recently. So you can see now, over about a year, she's lost 86 down to 68. So almost 20 kilos. And this is not using the jabs as well. This is just the same system. She came into us kind of not knowing what to do. She was trying all these silly diets, like doing keto, doing all these different things, and she simply couldn't stick with it. Whereas she came in, we got her calories, we got kind of a resistance training set up properly. She's working with Sandra as well. We've seen some incredible results. So it's nothing crazy. She's consistent. She knows what she's doing. And this works across the board as well. This is not just Jana. So I might just go through some of these. So Carla, again, we're still working with her now. She's lost again about 60 pounds now. Again, no GLPs. She started again, tried lots of different diets, but she hadn't really done calorie counting. She's really got into this, not for everyone, but she's doing incredibly well. Again, doing resistance training, doing her steps, prepping, and she knows what to do now. I think that's the key thing, really. We've also had Gaynor. Again, both her and Juliet, both sisters, did incredibly well. The reason why Juliet came in is because Gaynor's sister got such good results. These came all the way from Essex. So we came in, got the InBody done, which is the body composition. We got the RMR done. From that, we've got that very formulaic approach of, right, we know this will work. And then it's just a case of making sure that we hold them to account. They hold us to account to make sure that they're doing the right thing and we're doing the right thing. And ultimately, they'll get results. A few more examples. You've got Dawn. She lost so much weight with us, which was brilliant. Again, she actually came back twice to do the RMR test. So she came in, she did it. It was like 2,400. She thought it was really high. So she came back again and it was 2,400. So she could eat around 2,000 calories and lose weight really comfortably. So it just kind of shows that sometimes like being told to go on 1,200 calorie deficit, 1,200 calories is the worst possible thing. Gary as well, she was brilliant. This was more, she implemented the fitness side of things as well. So when you see that kind of mass when she's walking, that's a VO2 test. You wouldn't have to do that. But what we were able to do, this is where she was going on holiday. And what we were able to do here is combine walking/running with eating the right amount of food. Lost loads of weight, got fitter as well. It worked really well. And then just looking at some of the results in here too. If we look at, so she's weak at the moment. It's not all about super weight loss. She hasn't got much weight to lose, but you'll see just steady fat loss. Okay, doing resistance training, kind of eating the right things, the right amounts. Who else have we got? Olivia. So she is again seeing some incredible results from her too. She's just been on holiday, hence why it's gone up a little bit recently. But if you look at this, nice and steady, coming down, eating the right things, doing the right training, and very consistent, as you can see. So there we go. This is how the process works. If you were interested, keep your eyes open, okay, or just check out the collective. We're actually starting properly on the 20th of April in 2026, depending when you watch this. If you want to get involved, kind of join the wait list. The first time we're going to do this group program, as you can see, it's going to be a lot cheaper than the typical one-to-one. Or if you just wanted the RMR test on the know your numbers package, then check out the website or just kind of reach out to me individually. So hopefully you've got some questions. Hopefully you've got something to take from that and crack on. And good luck with your training and nutrition.